when it comes to hardware creators or engineers in a hardware field, there must be less of them in comparison to engineers in a software field.
Yeah, not even 1:2,000 ratio. I think designing hardware is very, very, very complex process. I mean, just think, I have a background in computer architecture. I actually love it. I used to develop software using assembly language just for fun. So, understanding the hardware, designing, innovating in this area is very complex. Just think of the caching. So, I mean, to improve performance, cache memory needs to be properly utilized. And guess what? There are more than 20, even 30 different ways, and they are all incorporated into each microprocessor you see today. Because when they first innovated, the innovation was simple, but you exhaust your simple innovations or solutions and ideas. So now you need to come up with more complex ones and more complex ones. And I think that's the issue with hardware now. You need to introduce very complex innovations just to make small improvement to the overall performance. While on the software side, I think the limit is the sky.
And that might be another reason why there's more of an emphasis in software, because customers and the everyday people are buying things in the form of software. And if you're having more developers and you're having more customers to sell the software to, you can get a larger return. Whereas for hardware, just for example, let's just say the TPU that you're speaking about, one box, or even the driverless AI that HUL are doing with IBM, one box will cost how much? £70,000 or something in the range of.
Yeah.
But then if you have a software that a software engineer makes an app, the app's quite successful, you can have it sold to 100 million users at maybe not more than £50. So in that way, it seems to be more of a focus for software in that aspect, because you can get it straight to your customers quickly. You can update the software, you can sell it again to them, and so on and so forth. Is that a good observation? Or?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the hardware is something very specific. It does very specific thing. While in the software, you have the flexibility. That's one thing. And the other thing, as individuals, as small companies, we can only play with software. We cannot. It's not feasible for almost any company now to come up and try to compete with Intel, AMD, and Nvidia, and the rest of the big players. It's just not feasible.